One of the tasks that we have ahead of us in the next 2 weeks is to determine the essential standards of our course. The D128 Remote and Blended Remote Learning Plan says that essential curriculum is defined as the core skills and knowledge from each course that have been identified by state standards, teachers, and teaching teams. The essential curriculum is not the entire curriculum. It leaves time and space for reteaching and for including teachers' unique interests and strengths. Teaching teams shall address the essential curriculum of the course refined as necessary to ensure that it is viable for eSchool. So why must we focus on the essential standards for remote learning? To begin, because remote learning takes more time. Listen to some testimonial from a summer school teacher who tried their hand at remote teaching this summer. Think time, wait time, modeling of ideas all look different in a remote setting. Students and teachers are receiving less body language and physical cues to affirm whether someone is on the right track, which demands fitting and opportunities for check-ins and reflections to see where students are in their progress. More time is spent getting ourselves ready to speak, to listen, and to get into groups. We have less control over our own environments and no control over our students' environment. All of these factors impact the pacing of our class time and the ability to achieve the volume of curriculum that we are used to. So, to put it simply, remote teaching takes more time and we'll need to focus in on those essential skills and standards. Also, because new grading policies will take more time. Again, according to the D128 Remote and Blended Remote Learning Plan, during the 2021 school year, redo and revision opportunities for essential assignments and assessments will be provided in all courses in order to provide students with the time needed to relearn and demonstrate mastery of course standards. Redo and revision timelines will be determined by individual teachers and published to students. This will mean more work completion for students and more feedback and assessing for teachers. In order to make this manageable for both, we'll need to focus in on those essential skills and standards as we choose what to assess for our students. Also, because social-emotional learning is important now more than ever. According to CASEL, a resource we'll dive more into later this week, as you prepare to welcome students and adults back to school, you face the layered impact of school closures, the pandemic, racial inequities, amplified by nationwide mobilization, and more. Social-emotional learning offers a powerful means to support one another, children and adults, during this challenging time. Our students' social-emotional health is important, but it takes time to address it in the classroom. So again, we'll need to focus in on those essential skills and standards to make more time for social-emotional learning. In summation, educators are charged with ensuring that all students have the opportunity to become successful despite the challenges of remote learning. This will require some focusing of those skills and standards. So we've talked a bit about why we need to focus in on essential skills and standards, but how do we go about doing that in the remote setting? The first recommendation is to begin with the work from last year's PLCs. The good news is we've already begun this work. If you recall from last year, outcome number 1 was a guaranteed and viable curriculum. So we've already begun the work to establish relevant standards, select the standards essential to the course, and to ensure that essential standards are realistic in a time frame. Now that time frame was in the context of traditional teaching, so now we'll need to re-examine those standards in the context of remote teaching and be sure that they're still manageable in that setting. Recommendation number 2, narrow further by considering these criteria with your course teams. These criteria might help you establish the essential skills and standards for your specific course content. Criteria number 1, endurance. What are the skills and understandings used beyond completion of your course? Focus on those that will help students be successful in their learning beyond your course. Criteria number 2 is leverage. What are the skills used across the disciplines? Focus on the skills from your class that will help your students be successful in all of their classes this year. And criteria number 3 is readiness. The skills to prepare students for next level or advanced courses in the discipline. This might require some vertical conversations to help focus on the essential skills and standards of your course so students are prepared for their next year's courses. Recommendation number 3, if it's possible, consider reordering your scope and sequence to prioritize essential skills and standards. If you structure your unit so that essential skills and standards come first, you won't run the risk of running out of time and not achieving those standards toward the end of the semester. Remote learning might take a different pace, and we want to make sure to prioritize key essential standards first. Finally, remember this is not forever. Remote learning is something that we must take on this year, but we'll be able to return to the full scope of our essential skills and standards once this is over. Remember, this too shall pass.